This is taking place in a hospital. They are highly trained medical personnel all around. They are trained in what to do in such an emergency. Now, picture this same scene in a classroom with an untrained teacher and 22 or more students around witnessing this. Currently, Texas public school personnel are not required to have any training in seizure first aid. Good day, everyone. Thank you for watching. My name is Sherry Dudo. I am one of the Purple Warriors of Texas. We are working on seizure recognition and seizure first aid training for Texas public school employees and students. Let me tell you how all this has come about. I am a retired Texas school teacher. I have epilepsy. Because of epilepsy, I had to retire early from teaching. I realized that if a child had had a seizure in my classroom, I would have had no clue as to what to do. About this same time, a horrific tragedy was unfolding nearby. Samantha Sam Watkins was a senior at Kilgore High School. She was an honor student and on the varsity soccer team. She was so much looking forward to her senior year of high school. Here she is at her homecoming game. That is her 94-year-old grandfather escorting her for homecoming. She said this was one of her best days ever. Sam had her first seizure on Labor Day while she was at a Christian children's camp. She was at that camp because she was a camp counselor and a volunteer for special needs children. She went to the emergency room and started the doctor's visits and tests that you have to go through when you have a seizure. It was short-lived, however. 3 months later, she had a massive seizure and was once again in the hospital, but this time the seizure had caused too much damage to her brain. She was kept alive on life support in hopes that there would be a miracle. And there was a miracle. There were many miracles. But it was for the people who received her life-saving organs. Many people received the gift of life from Sam. I saw many people rally around her and her family. The outpouring of love and support for Sam and the utter shock that a seizure could take a healthy 18-year-old athlete was a grim reality for all of East Texas. In Samantha's memory, my work is called Sam's Law. Seizure training for public school personnel. I know what you may be thinking. Why does this have to be a law? Good question. I contacted the Texas Education Agency and I asked them if they would consider mandatory training for all school personnel on seizure recognition and first aid. And they said they could not. What? They said any mandatory training for school personnel has to be mandated by a state law. Okay. I knew then what I had to do. I had to work to get a law passed in Texas. You also may be thinking teachers are overworked and have enough to do. Do they really need this training? That is a good question. But most teachers love their students and want the very best for them. The teachers I have talked to, and I have spoken to many, want this training so they will know what to do in case of an emergency. This training we are proposing is a video training of less than 30 minutes long. It will be produced by the Epilepsy Foundation. The school personnel will watch this video before school starts during their in-service training. The Epilepsy Foundation will also provide links from their website the schools and personnel can go to if they feel they need additional information or additional training. This training will cost the schools and the state of Texas nothing. Free seizure recognition and first aid training, courtesy of the Epilepsy Foundation. Another important point I would like to make is the different types of seizures. We all recognize the tonic-clonic, formerly called a grand mal seizure, shown earlier, the violent convulsive seizure. But would you recognize this as a seizure? This type of seizure may occur several times each day. This child may need time to recover from these. During this time, this child is not able to learn the material that is being taught. Many people would dismiss this child as daydreaming, not paying attention, even call it attention deficit disorder. There's a lot of pressure on teachers for their students to do well on the standardized test. Teachers rack their brains as to why Johnny is not learning. Johnny may not be performing well because he is suffering with seizures. You may also be thinking, why all the bother? How common is epilepsy, and how many students have epilepsy and seizures anyway? I mean, is epilepsy really that big of a deal? Let's look at a few facts. 65 million people have epilepsy. 1 in 26 people will develop epilepsy in their lifetime. 1 in 26. Wow, that's a lot. Epilepsy is not rare. It's just hidden. Think of the last crowded place you were in. A football game, a parade, school, or church. Chances are someone or several people there have epilepsy. 3 million Americans. The CDC has updated this number in 2015. It is now 3.4 million Americans. That is more people than people that have multiple sclerosis, cerebral palsy, muscular dystrophy, and Parkinson's disease combined. Autism, a terrible condition. More people live with epilepsy than autism spectrum disorders, Parkinson's disease, multiple sclerosis, and cerebral palsy combined. Epilepsy is the 4th most common neurological disorder after migraines, strokes, and Alzheimer's disease. And every 4 minutes, someone in the United States is diagnosed with epilepsy. That is 150,000 Americans that are diagnosed with epilepsy each year. Seizure first aid is not hard. Here are the steps for the seizure we saw earlier. Number 1, cushion their head. Remove their glasses. Loosen any tight clothing, scarves, or a tie. 3, turn them on their side and keep their airway clear. Time the seizure. If the seizure lasts for more than 4 minutes, you need to call emergency personnel. Call 911. Do not put anything in their mouth, and do not hold them down. As the seizure ends, offer them help. Imagine living in fear of having a seizure in front of your classmates. Okay. So epilepsy is more common than most people realize. But let's get back to the students and the teacher training. How many Texas students have epilepsy? Are we talking maybe a few hundred students? A few thousand at the most? How many Texas students have epilepsy? The Texas Epilepsy Foundation, based on data from the Center for Disease Control, the CDC, has stated there are 47,200 students in Texas schools that have epilepsy. That number is significant. That is more people than live in Huntsville, Texas. These children need our help. These children need a trained adult by them to help them if they experience a seizure. These children need Sam's Law. After working with my state representative, Travis Clarity, for over a year, I went to Austin, and Representative Clarity and his Chief of Staff, Kelly Barnes, agreed to draft a bill called Sam's Law. And I quote from Kelly Barnes, "This bill will be filed in the 86th legislature to address this serious issue." The legislative session begins in January 2019. Sam's Law is not wishful thinking. It is not a pipe dream. Sam's Law is a bill that we have worked very hard on for almost 2 years, and it will be before the Texas legislatures in January, and with your help, it will become law, and our children with seizures will be safer in our Texas public schools. I also wanted seizure recognition and seizure first aid to be taught to our Texas high school students. I want to educate our next generation. I want to teach our children. 1 in 10 people will experience a seizure in their lifetime. People can have a seizure for many different reasons, not just from epilepsy. Things like heat exhaustion, dehydration, infections, concussions, complications with diabetes, pregnancy complications, high fever, even a stroke, are just a few of the reasons someone may experience a seizure. I thought it was important that we teach basic seizure recognition and first aid to our Texas high school students. Texas already teaches CPR to their high school students as part of their health curriculum. I have no doubt that this has saved lives. I wanted seizure first aid to be taught as well, because what you do or don't do for a person while experiencing a seizure can be life-saving or can cause potential harm or even death if you do the wrong thing. Things like holding a person down or putting something in their mouth so they will not swallow their tongue are all myths and can harm them. I took this idea of seizure first aid training for students to Dr. Kevin Ellis, who is my representative on the Texas State Board of Education. He thought seizure first aid training for high school students was a great idea. We have been working together on this for over a year. Texas will be revising their school health curriculum. This revision will begin at the 1st of 2019. I will be in Austin, and one of my co-workers on the Purple Warriors of Texas team, Gabby Cornell, who is also a Texas teacher, will be there. We will be working with Dr. Ellis, the Texas Epilepsy Foundation, and the Texas Education Agency to add seizure recognition and first aid as part of the Texas High School Health Curriculum. All of the necessary material and information for this teaching will also be provided free of charge for the schools from the Texas Epilepsy Foundation. We know this will be life-saving training and will make all Texans safer if they are that 1 in 10 that will ever experience a seizure. Thank you for your time. We are the Purple Warriors of Texas, promoting Sam's Law, seizure awareness and seizure first aid training for Texas school personnel and students. Please follow us on Facebook as we work to pass Sam's Law. Thank you so much for your support.